Hello there. I'm Clark, and this is a fig tree that our kids in South Carolina gave me about 3 months ago. Its name is Newton. This is how Newton looked when we first planted him after we got him in the mail. And this is what Newton looks like today. We've all been seeing a lot of wildfires in the news lately. There are a lot of fires burning in many different states in the United States. That's some real tragedy. I received an email that had an article written by a Scottish friend of ours, John Dempster, who writes a weekly column in the Highland News, a regional newspaper in Inverness. He was writing about a concept that he'd read about in a book that just came out. It's called Rewilding the Church. To rewild an environment, you begin by reintroducing the keystone species, creatures and or plants, which, by their presence and activity, revitalize the whole local ecosystem. The equivalent for churches is full openness to Jesus. He becomes the Keystone Christ, the source of inspiration and empowerment. Aisthorpe, the author of this book, said that refocusing on Jesus is the most imperative, transformative, life-giving, terrifying, hopeful experience possible. I thought about this concept as it applies to those of us who have been living through a pandemic. So many things have been, in a sense, burned away. Maybe not physically, as in these terrible forest fires, but metaphorically. In the past few months, we've lost a sense of familiarity, comfort, perhaps even peace, as we've watched the heartbreaking, contentious, anxiety-producing events erupt all around us. It feels at times like a wildfire has swept through our lives and our country, burning away so much of what was previously taken for granted. We don't tend to think of things like pandemics as gifts, and yet, in a sense, we've been given a gift. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but I believe it's true. I think we've been given an opportunity to rewild the church. We've been given a chance to start over in our local habitat. We've been given an opportunity to replant, so to speak. And just as a new forest starts over after being burned away, we need to start over by planting the Keystone Jesus in our midst. We've lost our sense of permanence. Permanence in programs that we thought would always be there, things that we might have held dear at one time. We've lost for several months now things like live music, singing at the tops of our lungs in church together, kids clubs, Sunday school classes, fellowship times, potluck dinners, mission trips, so many things that we once thought of as being the church. Are we aching for these programs that we were comfortable with in the past? I know I am. Maybe it's time that we intentionally reintroduce the keystone, Jesus Christ, the primary species that's the catalyst for all other growth. That way, the ecosystem that grows back will be the church, the unsullied, Christ-centered church. When everything else has been burned away, we may be wondering, what is there that's left to lean on? Are we placing our faith in the familiarity of the programmed church we once knew? Or are we learning to lean fully on Jesus Christ? It's encouraging to me to think of this season as a replanting of sorts, with Jesus as the keystone. If we simply replant by focusing on programs, I think we're going to miss the opportunity that God has given us, an opportunity to replant with Jesus at the center of everything. If we will build our lives and our church around the keystone, Jesus Christ, the result will be a fresh, vibrant, fruitful ecosystem known as the true church. Wood, hay, and stubble will all be burned up, but the gold, silver, and precious gems, all those things that are reflecting Jesus' character qualities, those will remain. Could it be that God is allowing some refining in His church? Oh boy, I think so. I think we've been given a gift to refocus on Keystone Jesus. So let's fix our eyes on Jesus Christ, the source and perfecter of our verdant faith.